Welcome back, Blue Shirts fans, to episode number 751 of the Locked On New York Rangers podcast. I'm your host, John Chick. Just want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, and the Rangers just wrapping up a short time ago here on Monday night, a 3-1 road victory against the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Rangers bouncing back pretty nicely from a disappointing 2-1 loss at home against the Montreal Canadiens the night before. And it's a big win for the Rangers. I mean, I understand that the Blue Jackets are struggling this year, to say the least. If you go by record, they are by far the worst team in the Eastern Conference, but it was still very, very important to bounce back and make sure you get 2 points here. And the Rangers, they had that wild win against the Dallas Stars where, Miller ties the game with less than a second left, and then Fox wins it in the overtime. A little bit of a letdown against the Montreal Canadiens, or so it would seem. And that was less than ideal, but what would have made it a real disaster is if the Rangers also lost this game here to the Blue Jackets. You cannot be leaving points on the table against bad teams, which is something that the Rangers have done a little bit too often this season, and you certainly cannot, in the span of just 24 hours here, basically, leave 4 points on the table while you're playing the Canadiens and the Blue Jackets. The Rangers had to win this game, and for the most part, they got the job done. I thought the third period was maybe a little bit shaky. You'd like to see them close with a little bit more authority, but for the most part, pretty strong game here for the New York Rangers. When I say, the Canadiens and Blue Jackets and talk about them as, quote-unquote bad teams, I mean no disrespect. I'm just looking at the standings, and I don't watch every Montreal game. I don't watch every Columbus game, but that's just, where they are. If you look at the standings, they're not good teams right now. And it wasn't that long ago where, the Rangers were one of the teams in this league that all the good teams, all the elite teams, quote unquote, should be. And obviously the Rangers have improved quite a bit these past couple of seasons. And now, when you're playing teams like the Canadiens and the Blue Jackets, now these are the teams that the Rangers should be. So no disrespect intended, but, you got to beat teams like this. It's just the bottom line. And the Rangers, like I said, at times this season, too many points left on the table, and you hope that it doesn't come back to bite them. But like I said, overall, I thought this is a pretty strong game for the Rangers. Before I go a second farther, though, it is Monday. This will be Tuesday's episode, but regardless, just want to wish everybody very happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Obviously, somebody, one of the most important, most influential, and just downright good people in the history of this country. And obviously, I think it's important for everybody to just think a little bit about what he meant and, the changes that he got to happen in this country. So, again, very happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to everyone. Shifting back to the hockey, though, as far as what we want to talk about in today's episode, want to talk a little bit about the Ranger power play. They went just 1 for 5 in this one, but honestly, the way things have been going, 1 for 5 doesn't really sound all that bad, and I thought there were times where they at least looked a little bit better. There were a couple of power plays for the Rangers that were a little bit shorter. Also, some situations where it was later in the game and the Rangers had the lead and didn't maybe want to take any unnecessary chances on the power play. So not a, banner night for the power play, but better than it has been, that's for sure. Kaapo Kakko with a really strong night. Couple of assists and some good defensive play as well as he starts to work in with the penalty kill unit. He's been killing some penalties in place of Ryan Lindgren these past couple of games. I want to talk about the injury to Ryan Lindgren and why we were all holding our breath. Obviously, he got back out there, but want to talk about that. Also, a nice game for Jaroslav Halak, so we're going to give him some props. And a little bit of a shaky third period for the Rangers, so we're going to break that down a little bit as well. Like I said, I would have liked to have seen them close with at least a little bit more authority, but they did enough to get the job done, and that's what counts. The bottom line, they had to get 2 points, and they did it, so that's a good thing. Okay, Ranger power play. Been kind of a hot-button topic as far as, on this podcast, on social media. Obviously, people in the media, covering the Rangers, they've been talking about it as well. And as I mentioned, coming into this game, we talked about this in our last episode. Rangers won for their last 14 on the power play over the last 5 games, and even the one goal that they scored was an empty netter by Filipino. So they have really been scuffling, and to start this night, it was kind of more of the same. Ryan Lindgren was boarded in the first period back in the Ranger zone, kind of in the corner there by Olivier, and Lindgren was doubled over, had to have some help to the bench by Hedel and by Jim Ramsey. And we'll talk a little bit more about Lindgren and everything that happened with him in just a little bit here. But the bottom line, at the time, this put the Rangers on the power play, and the Ranger power play coming into this game tonight down to number 16 in the league. So basically league average, and like I said, just one for their last 14. Really rough first 30 seconds of this power play here. They couldn't even gain the zone or, set anything up. I mean, just not good. Just not good. Just not in sync is basically the long and short of it. But gets cleared down again. Panarin received a pass. He's in the left circle. You think he's going to shoot. He waited a little too long. It was looking like he wanted to make a pass. And then by the time he decided to shoot it, it was too late, and the shot was turned aside. Trocheck had the best chance of this power play right at the very end of it. He was right there in the slot and tried to stuff it home, was unable to do so. So that was their best opportunity. And even Sam and Joe, they were talking about the power play unit, and Joe mentioned, just simplify it a little bit. You don't need to make 6 passes on every single power play and look for this perfect chance. Sometimes just one pass and a shot. That's all that it really needs to be at times, especially when you're struggling. I think that even more so makes sense for you to just want to put the puck toward the net and try to create some havoc in front. That's something that I'm still not seeing, even though, like I said, the power play was a little bit better here in this game than it has been. Just not enough traffic, not enough chaos in front. Opposing goalies are just having way too easy of a time against the Rangers when the Rangers are on the power play. And, obviously you hope that changes fairly soon. But then the Rangers get another power play in the first period. It's still scoreless at this point. The fourth line for the Rangers, I thought overall played pretty well in this one. Had a couple of good shifts early. And then Leschyshyn, playing in his second game as a New York Ranger, he has the puck in the corner. It looked like he wanted to go toward the net, and he draws a tripping penalty. So the Rangers are back on the power play for all of about half a second because the Rangers lost the ensuing faceoff, and then Lafreniere with a really bad hooking penalty, and he heads to the box, and it's 4-on-4. Fortunately for Lafreniere, the Rangers picked him up a little bit. You had Kakko, Miller, Fox, and Kakko, Miller, Mika, and Fox on the ice, and still no Lindgren at this point. So we got a little bit of Miller and Fox playing together, and we've seen that from time to time recently, specifically in instances where the Rangers have been down by a goal late in the games. We're seeing a little bit of Fox and Keandre Miller playing together. Overall, I've kind of resisted the idea of putting those two on the same pairing because, Fox and Lindgren are just so good and they complement each other so well. But that is a pairing that we're eventually going to see as Ranger fans. Eventually, somehow, some way, whether it's this year or years down the road, we will see Fox and Miller get some run together, you would have to think. But bottom line, it's 4-on-4. And Kakko comes out of the Rangers zone. It's basically 1-on-4. He's in the neutral zone, and he's just kind of keeping the puck away from everybody. He's got a couple of defenders approaching him, and then a great pass. He delayed with the puck forever for as long as he possibly could, and then he led Mika Zibanejad into the attacking zone. Mika takes a shot from the left faceoff circle and just rings it off the far post and into the net. Goal number 20 for Mika Zibanejad this season, and I'm almost positive they said that this is season number 6 in a row for Mika Zibanejad with 20 or more goals. So very, very impressive, very, very consistent from Mika Zibanejad. Big-time goal there, getting the Rangers going a little bit. And, they didn't score on the power play, but at least they get one on the 4-on-4 here. Then, a little bit later in the first period, the Rangers actually do get one on the power play. You've got, the first power play unit on the ice for some time. It was good to see Lafreniere get another chance there despite having a really bad penalty the power play before. I was almost thinking that, Gerard Gallant might see that really bad penalty by Lafreniere, might make a switch, maybe go with Kakko there or Hedl or whoever it might be, but he stuck with Lafreniere. Credit to him for doing that. But the Rangers, the first unit does not score. There's a play stoppage with about a minute left, or in fact, exactly a minute left, and then the Rangers lose the faceoff. The second unit is out there, but Hedl and Kakko with some good work behind the net. They got right back there. Kakko passes back to Miller. Miller to his left to Trouba. Trouba across the ice to Kakko. Kakko back to Miller. And then Miller takes the shot from the blue line. It is deflected by Barclay Goodrow. Looked like it just grazed the bottom of the crossbar and went in. So the Rangers actually hitting 2 posts and scoring on both of them. Between those 2 posts that resulted in goals, Mika actually hit the post on a one-timer, though. So you knew they weren't going to go through a whole game without hitting the post and not scoring. But Goodrow gets one here. Obviously hardworking player. Nice to see him rewarded. And his first career power play goal, Rangers up 2-0 with less than a minute to go in the first period. And, the fact that the Rangers finally scored here, I think Sam put a little extra emphasis on his famous, it's a power play goal, that call. He sounded like he was really into this, and he's been dying to break that one out again because it's been a while. So nice to see the Rangers break through here. And, besides that, a couple other power play chances. There was one in the third period that the Rangers had, but they only had a power play for about 39 seconds. A couple of decent chances, couple of shots on goal at least, did not score, but hard to get too mad at them for not converting on just a 39-second power play. It's doable, obviously, but you don't really expect too many, 39-second power plays to result in goals. But we're going to keep everything rolling in just a second here when I talk about big night for Kaapo Kakko, what happened to Ryan Lindgren, and also just go through some of the line combinations and just general thoughts on how all the Ranger lines fared in this game. And we're going to do that in just a second here. But first, I just got to let everybody know that today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league. From pro football to the NHL to basketball and the upcoming MLB season, we've got it all at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, we just want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So just some quick thoughts on the Ranger line combinations. It was mostly the same as the most recent game, but there was one change. That was the flip-flopping of VZ and Krasov. VZ moves up to the second line, Krasov down to the third line. The top line for the Rangers remain the same, Kreider, Mika, and Kakko. Nice to see, Mika get his 20th goal this season, Kakko chip in with a couple of assists, and, obviously, get going a little bit. Kakko, I believe they said, had gone 5 straight games without a point. I was aware that he was in a little bit of a point drought, but I still feel like overall he's played fairly well, despite not really getting on the score sheet all that much recently. The last game maybe notwithstanding, because not too many Rangers had good nights against the Canadiens, but nice to see him get rewarded. A couple of helpers on this one, and especially the very impressive one where he delayed with the puck forever in the neutral zone, led Mika into the zone, and Mika scored, took care of the rest, and got Kakko a primary helper on that one. But then you've got the second line, Trocheck centering, Panarin and VZ. And VZ, he played well in this game. I think both him and Krasov had strong games overall. Krasov obviously scored a goal. So I'm not always crazy about all these line changes that Gerard Gallant does, but, it's just one tweak here. It's not like he went overboard and reinvented the wheel, and just made you think, like, what in the world is he thinking and why are we even doing this? I think, Krasov had a turnover in the most recent game, and he was trying to get them going a little bit. Gave VZ a little bit of a promotion there into the top 6. VZ was playing with Kreider and Mika earlier this season, and it kind of seems like VZ is just going to be that guy that kind of moves up and down the lineup a little bit fairly frequently. Obviously, Barclay Goodrow does that from time to time as well, but Jimmy VZ in, half a season here with the Rangers has earned the trust of Gerard Gallant and this coaching staff. Seemingly that is the case, and he's played well, so in some ways I think he deserves it. Krasov drops down to the third line, but actually scores a goal, and we'll get to Krasov's goal in a little bit here. But Krasov was out there with Hedl and Goodrow, and like I said, the occasional line tweaking is okay. Like I said, I think it kind of worked. Krasov scored a goal, broke, I want to say, a 12-game drought as far as him not scoring a goal, and VZ, very reliable veteran as well, and I thought he looked pretty good with Panarin and Trocheck on this one. Krasov not only scored, he came close to getting a second goal, but we'll get to the details of those two plays in due time here. And then the fourth line, I mentioned them briefly a couple of minutes ago here, but you got from left to right, Sammy Blais, Jake Lecision, a little bit of a tongue twister, but I'm working on it, Jake Lecision, and Johnny Brodzinski. So, they did well, I thought, early, and really throughout the game, did a nice job, applying some pressure and spending a lot of time in the attacking zone. Couple of scoring chances. Brodzinski had 2 great chances. He went in on a breakaway in one instance and got denied on the doorstep. Might have taken a slash on the play. They did not call it. And he had a chance a little bit later, too, shooting from some pretty good real estate and getting his shot denied. It would have been cool to see Brodzinski put one in there because he always works hard. The upside is very limited, but Brodzinski with a solid game. And really, I thought the fourth line overall with a good game in this one as well. We mentioned Lecision drawing the penalty, so good stuff from the Ranger fourth line. And these three players, along with a couple of others, will continue to battle it out as far as playing time and who's going to kind of solidify their role on the Ranger fourth line going forward. Gauthier, whenever he gets back, his name will be back in the mix. Maybe Carpenter slots back in at one time or another, and we will see. But, obviously a pretty solid night for that trio there. Want to also talk a little bit about a solid night for Kaapo Kakko. We already mentioned the 2 assists that he had. The primary on the goal by Mika Zibanejad, and then the secondary, while the Rangers were on the power play, the second unit was out there, Kakko to Miller with a shot from the blue line, and Barclay Goodrow tipping it home. So we already know about the 2 helpers, but something that's also been kind of interesting is the Kaapo Kakko is getting a good amount of time on the penalty kill over this last handful of games here. Kreider missed his 3rd straight game with the upper body injury, and so obviously he's unavailable to kill penalties. And what the Rangers are doing is they're just sticking Kakko into Kreider's spot on the penalty kill. Kakko is almost always out there with Mika Zibanejad when the Rangers are shorthanded. And in this game in particular, Kakko ends up with 1 minute and 39 seconds of time on the penalty kill. That was second on the Rangers among forwards while the Rangers were shorthanded, only to Mika Zibanejad, who was out there for 1 minute and 56 seconds. And after that, again, Kakko got 139 of shorthanded time. The next most among Ranger forwards was Jimmy Vesey with just 36 seconds. So obviously, the Rangers are counting on Kakko in that role, at least in the interim, while Kreider is out. And you know what? Kakko's done pretty well with it. He seems to always be in good position, seems to be playing with confidence on the penalty kill. His stick is always in the right position. And there was an instance in this game where the Blue Jackets were bringing the puck out of their zone, going in on the rush, and Kakko was, getting in their face right there in the neutral zone. So Kakko, holding his own on the Ranger penalty kill, and it's good to know that in a pinch or maybe not even in a pinch, maybe we'll just see more and more of Kakko while the Rangers are shorthanded going forward here. And it's interesting because, last year in the preseason and even a little bit into the regular season, Gallant kind of experimented with both Kakko and Lafreniere getting some penalty kill time for the Rangers. And that experiment didn't really last very long because it didn't really go very well. And I thought neither Lafreniere or Kakko looked all that great on the PK, but especially Kakko. I mean, he looked lost and like he didn't know what to do. And night and day, I thought he's actually looked pretty good on the PK over these last couple of games here. And like I said, we'll see if that's a newfound role that Kakko can play for the Rangers. I'm not looking for them to turn him into, a penalty killer, fourth line grinder type player because he's too good for that. But, obviously, look, the Rangers, some of their best players play on the penalty kill very frequently. Mika, Kreider, and obviously all the great defensemen that this team has. Adam Fox, Keandre Miller, take your picks. So, good to see Kaapo Kakko chipping in different ways. The 2 helpers and some good penalty kill work in this game as well. He also drew a penalty. I have that in my notes. Almost forgot about that, but he drew a high-sticking penalty to wipe out a power play by the Blue Jackets at the start of the 3rd period. So the Rangers took a penalty with about 15 seconds left in the 2nd period. Rangers were up 3-0 at that point. And then maybe about 20 seconds or so into the 3rd period, Kakko drew a high sticking and, like I said, wiped out the Blue Jackets' power play opportunity while they were trying to get back into the game. So overall, just a really solid night for Kaapo Kakko, and it's good to see him contributing in a lot of different ways. We're going to keep everything rolling in just a second, though. Want to talk about, once again, what happened to Ryan Lindgren. Going to talk about, Lafreniere being a little bit snake-bitten and just not really finding the finishing touch right now. And I figure, we've talked about 2 of the Ranger goals. We might as well talk about the 3rd one and talk about the goal that Kravtsov scored to end his drought. Going to give some props to Jaroslav Halak as well. And we're going to do all that good stuff in just a second. But first, just got to let everybody know, today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 because I wanted a supplement that actually tastes great, and I wanted to see what all the hype was about. Now I've been on it for about 8 months, and I love it. Doesn't taste like it's super healthy, has kind of a mild tropical taste that I actually look forward to each morning. So what is this stuff? With 1 delicious scoop of AG1, you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It is lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. It costs you less than $3 a day, you're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 five-star reviews. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No needs for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, let's go ahead and keep everything rolling here. Just talked about Kaapo Kakko and his big night. Ryan Lindgren, I couldn't have been the only Ranger fan who was holding my breath a little bit on this play. We talked about it very briefly a little bit earlier in the episode, but he took a big hit from behind by Olivier. The penalty was called for boarding, and the Rangers went to the power play. But Lindgren, went to the locker room. This happened pretty early in the first period. He was doubled over, and like I said, Philip Hedl and Jim Ramsey had to help him to the bench. Looked a little bit, dazed. And again, just kind of holding your breath here because you don't know what this injury could be. Took a pretty savage hit. I would say the biggest surprise here, and we can joke about it now because we know that Lindgren was okay. The biggest surprise here, though, was that Ryan Lindgren was not bleeding, or he did not appear to be bleeding after this hit occurred. And we've talked about before how Ryan Lindgren probably leaves more blood on the ice than just about any player in the NHL. Like I said, the heart and soul of this team, and we've seen instances in the past where Lindgren gets hurt, cannot play, and the Rangers seem to just fall apart. So it was good to see him get back in there and do his thing, just play some gritty, hard-nosed hockey. And, Lindgren was credited with 3 blocked shots. I got to think he had more than that because the last, 10 seconds of this game, I swear he had, 3 consecutive blocked shots while the time was running out on the Blue Jackets, and the Rangers were finalizing their 3-1 win there. But, great stuff by Ryan Lindgren. The only silver lining to his injury, and I would never wish injury on anybody, much less one of my favorite players and one of the most important players on the New York Rangers like Ryan Lindgren. The silver lining, though, and I mentioned this a few minutes ago as well, getting to see K'Andre Miller and Adam Fox play together for just a little bit. We had an instance where, Fox passed in deep to Miller on the doorstep. Miller went for the deflection try, and it was turned aside. But as I mentioned, I think sooner or later we're going to get Fox and Miller. I don't want it to happen all that soon because, again, I just love the way Lindgren and Fox complement each other. And those two have played so great for the Rangers over these past handful of seasons here. It's one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of situations. Miller and Trouba seem to click together. Miller has, in countless different occasions, credited Trouba with his, development and feeling comfortable and feeling confident in the NHL. And I know there's some Trouba naysayers out there, but you can't take that away from him. That is for sure. Another stat I wanted to throw out there that was just kind of crazy. Midway through this game, the Rangers were out shooting the Blue Jackets by a count of 20-4. There's times where we talk about the Rangers needing to shoot more. Imagine only having 4 shots on goal through the first half of the game. That's a team that really needs to shoot more. But that was indicative of how the Rangers were playing. The first 40 minutes of this game were fantastic for the Rangers. I did think in the third they let it get away from them, and Jaroslav Halak bailed them out on a couple of instances. And, a couple of us were probably having flashbacks to some of the other lackluster third periods that the Rangers have played this season. But bottom line, once again, that they got the job done. I also wanted to talk a little bit about Alexis Lafreniere. He had a couple of chances in this one. There was a play in the most recent game that I didn't talk about during our recap episode. Kind of just forgot about it, to be completely honest. But against Montreal, still scoreless in the first period. The puck was in the crease. I want to say the Rangers hit the post, and Lafreniere was right there. Looked like an easy tipping goal, and he just sent it wide of the far post and did not score. So not sure what happened there. And then in this one, looked like he was going to get a chance on the power play. Panarin from along the boards kind of lifts a little bit of a saucer pass to Lafreniere. Lafreniere looking for the tip in, and he's denied on the doorstep. And then, at the very end of this game, the Rangers up 3-1. Mika Zibanejad moves the puck ahead to Lafreniere, trying to get his guy a goal there. And Lafreniere shoots from the neutral zone, and it gets blocked, and he's not able to score there. So, just a little bit snake bitten lately, and looking to snap out of a lengthy goal drought is Alexis Lafreniere. I want to say that the announcers said that this is the 15th straight game where Lafreniere doesn't have a goal. So you hope that once he gets one, the dam breaks a little bit, and more are to follow. But Lafreniere hopefully going to start chipping in offensively here sooner rather than later. One player who did break a little bit of a goal-scoring drought, we mentioned him just a second ago, but that was Vitaly Kravtsov. Scored a goal from kind of out of nowhere to make the score 3-0. You have a situation here where Hedl is along the boards in the neutral zone, gets the puck over the blue line, and then Goodrow picks it up from there, controls it along the boards, dumps it in deep. Hedl gets to it. Hedl passes out of the corner in front to Kravtsov. Kravtsov is crashing the net, and he gets a tip-in goal to give the Rangers a 3-0 lead. And as I mentioned, first goal in 12 games for Kravtsov. For Filip Hedl, though, 7 points in his last 7 games. Just becoming an invaluable member of this New York Ranger team and providing them with some of that depth scoring that was such an issue early in the season. Not as much of an issue recently with the Rangers playing better and more players chipping in offensively. Filip Hedl, nice to see him continue his recent run of strong play. Just a great pass here, setting up his guy, and Kravtsov taking care of the rest on the doorstep. And not too long after this, also in the second period, Kravtsov had another chance, almost gave the Rangers a 4-0 lead. Got a shot from really in deep. Nice save by Merzlikins. The puck is laying there, and Kravtsov gets to his own rebound, and then an even better save by Merzlikins keeps the puck out. So would have been really cool to see Kravtsov break out of a scoring slump with a 2-goal performance. Wasn't meant to be, but with Kravtsov not really scoring a whole lot recently, I guess you got to take the 1 goal if you're Kravtsov. And then want to also conclude today's episode by, as I mentioned, giving some props, giving some credit to Jaroslav Halak. Halak with this win now, after struggling mightily and just taking forever to get his first victory of the season. With this win, he is now 5-6-1. All 5 of the wins are on the road, and maybe that factored into the Rangers. They had the back-to-back, so the smart money was on Halak getting 1 and Igor getting 1. Maybe that had something to do with Halak, getting this game on the road, because obviously the game before was at home. But to go through some of his greatest hits, Halak wasn't tested too much in the first couple, really the first 2 periods, but Jackets had a 2-on-1 in the first period. Laine had a backhand attempt. Halak deflected it into the netting. Then in the second period, the Jackets play it in front of the net out of the corner, and Halak made a point-blank save against Nyquist, snagged it with his glove, and that was right after he made a really nice right pad save as well. Those were maybe his best 2 saves of the night, at least to that point. And then, like I said, the Rangers scuffled a little in the third period, and I don't know if they're just taking the foot off the gas or if they think that they're home free. You're never home free in this league. No matter what the score is and no matter who you're playing, you got to keep going and you got to keep the pedal to the metal. It would have been nice to see the Rangers really close out this game in a big way and just kind of, they got this team down on the mat. Keep them there. Don't let them back into it. Don't allow them to get any life, get any momentum or anything like that. But Halak with some really good saves down the stretch. Nyquist had a one-timer, and Halak moving from his right to his left, got his glove on it, and that kept the score at 3-1. By that point, the Jackets had gotten onto the board, and I wrote into my notes at that point, you better wake up, because the Rangers had given up a goal, and the Jackets were kind of swarming in the couple of minutes that followed after that, and only a great save by Jaroslav Halak here prevented it from going 3-2. And there were still like 11 or 12 minutes left when this happened, so at that point it would have really been anybody's game. But then the other last couple of sequences here for Jaroslav Halak occurred at the very end of this game when the goalie was pulled for the Blue Jackets. Rangers were really under some fire here. There was a situation where their skaters could not get off the ice for a really long period of time, and Halak with just some really good saves in the final 2 or 3 minutes here to preserve the 2-goal lead for the Rangers. And, we might have been a little bit nervous, but he kept them from scoring there and cutting the lead to 1, which is when we would have all gotten a lot nervous as Ranger fans here, especially seeing them, give up some leads in third periods and play some lackluster third periods earlier this season. But, again, 4 straight wins for Halak. I think, again, Ranger fans have to be feeling a lot better about him at this point. I realize that when he plays, it quite often is against, some of the weaker teams in this league, so that certainly helps his cause, but he's played better, and he made a lot of really good saves in this one, and even if you're not the biggest Halak fan and you're still not sold that, he'd be able to go toe-to-toe with one of the elite teams in the league, I think you got to at least be feeling a little bit better at this point. Figure we can pretty much call it there for today. There was one stat that I wanted to throw out there at you guys real quick here. K'Andre Miller is the 3rd Ranger defenseman in the last 35 years under the age of 23 to have a 7-game point streak. The other 2 were Brian Leetch and Neil Pionk. Even Adam Fox did not pull off that accomplishment. That'll give you an idea of just how well K'Andre Miller has played recently. Chris Kreider reportedly close to returning, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that he's good to go for Thursday's game. That is the next game for the Rangers, and they will be against the Boston Bruins. Almost positive the Rangers will be at home. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I'm pretty sure the Rangers will be in Madison Square Garden for that one. Going to be a big game. Bruins have the best record in the league. Bruins beat the Rangers earlier this season, and having Kreider back out there would certainly give the team a boost. But that will do it for today, guys. Once again, if you'd like to get in touch with this podcast, please send an email to lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Once again, that is lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. And definitely give us a follow on Twitter as well, at @LO_NY_Rangers. Once again, that is at @LO_NY_Rangers. And definitely subscribe to Locked On New York Rangers YouTube channel. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.